Hello everybody, my name is Delzer and today we're doing a reaction video, so we're going to be checking into Sarcastic Productions, aka Blue, and the only reason I know it's Blue, purely because I fucking, well, it didn't say the fantasy or mythology or the Monkey King, so it has to be Blue. Also, it's Timbuktu, so let's get into it, please. And thank you for coming here, because I love all of you. That was a really shitty rhyme that I just came up with, and I don't know why I did it, but fuck it. What else do we have? Instagram Nomads, and now its highly anticipated sequel, their first seasonal trading post, Timbuktu. Sources are for your reading. That's all the sources. I'm not going to read all that out loud. Music and courtesy. Hey, welcome back, Afro. We're going to OSP. The links to their stuff will be in the description. That way you can go and support the original people because I think that OSP does a phenomenal job. And yeah.
Geography is as vibrant as it is varied, ranging from lush rainforests to snow-capped mountains, winding rivers to sprawling deserts, and plenty else in between. But among so many different climate regions, the most uniquely intriguing might be the Sahel, a band bridging the space between the sweltering Sahara Desert and the grassland savanna. This arid transition zone between the biomes shifts north and south with the seasons and lies just at the edge of permanent habitability before the ocean-like expanse of the desert begins. As pure geography, it's plenty neat, but this curious stretch of land happens to hold one of the
Oh, this video is about Timbuktu, and besides that, I don't know. We are 30 seconds in, man.
remarkable surprises of African history, the great city of Timbuktu, a city that defies all logical city placement yet thrived in medieval Africa, not in spite of the Sahel, but because of it. To see how, let's do some history. To best understand why Timbuktu was such a spectacular accomplishment of a city, we need to understand the broader history of the region and why Timbuktu was perfect for it. As such, our tale begins in West Africa along the banks of the Niger River, a water feature running a crescent between Guinea and the Nigerian coast and brushing right up against the bottom of the Sahel, crossing through so many different cultures that it has unique local names in several different languages, such as Joliba, Isa, Kwada, and plenty others that I also wouldn't pronounce very well. The name Niger may derive from Jer and Amazigh, meaning river of rivers, which of course means that the Niger River is actually the River of Rivers river. Linguistics is fun, and etymologies have never caused me pain or distress.
What the
At least
fuck?
none that I haven't repressed. In any case, it's a long freaking river, and it served as a crucial waterway for the major West African empires, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. These three were far from the only players in the region, as the African savannah was bustling with—
Hold up. Did I just notice something that's weird about what they just did?
It's a long freaking
Why
river, and it
is
served as a crucial waterway for the major West African empires, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai.
all three of them overlapped? What the fuck's going on with these empires? I'm sorry, that just feels weird. Because I'm used to like borders existing on things. Why are they overlapping their territory? Or did they exist at different times?
These three were far from the only players in the region, as the African savannah was bustling with people and cultures aplenty, but they were certainly the biggest boys across their combined millennium and a half
Oh,
runtime.
time.
Reaching back
Okay.
farthest in time was the Ghana Empire, arising between the Niger and Senegal rivers sometime in the first few centuries AD. In their reign, they took advantage of two major developments in African history. First was the widespread use of camels for long-distance transit starting in the 4th century, an animal perfectly suited for the region. These so-called ships of the Sahara could make the desert crossing far quicker and more reliably than horses or donkeys, and with multiple times the cargo. The second was the advent of Islam across the Mediterranean coast of North Africa. From the mid-600s onwards, Ghana had a spectacularly rich trading partner just across the Sahara. Well, I say just. It's a desert, but you know what I mean. Taken together, this meant the Sahel controlled the flow of resources between the savannah in the south and the camel caravans across the desert to the bustling cosmopolitan Mediterranean up north. And that's some big business. Gold, ivory, rock salt, food, and slaves. Terrible as that obviously is, this was part and parcel for the classical world, and even if leagues below the industrialized scale and brutality of the triangle trade, this is still icky as hell. In time, however, the region's most notable export would eventually become books.
Hey!
Now stick with me for a minute and I'll show you how. Sometime in the 1100s, at a spot where the northernmost bend of the Niger River meets the Sahel, a seasonal outpost of Tuareg nomads coming down from the Sahara became a permanent settlement. One legend holds that the nomads would leave the camp in care of a woman named Buktu and naturally called it Buktu's place, or in Tuareg, Timbuktu. Ta-da! Now, this is cute, but abundantly made up. The actual etymology is contested at least 4 ways, and I refuse to hurt myself like that twice in one video. But one way or another, Timbuktu was perfectly situated to take advantage of the desert caravan routes to the Med and east-west river transport to the savannah, commanding
Also, I'm so used to Timbuktu being a way of just saying, "Where are you going to? Timbuktu?" I've used to it being said like that so often now that I'm just like, huh, it's actually a real place. Also, yeah, no, I legit thought it was gonna be a mythical place. It was some random fucking mythology in Africa. Didn't realize it was gonna be real until this video.
access to everything south of them and serving as a gateway to the north. Being a city in the Sahel of all places
American
is a tricky
education system.
proposition, but Timbuktu worked perfectly. Around this time, the power of the Ghana Empire began to wane, and while the exact causes aren't quite clear, the effects and outcome are obvious enough, as local players asserted themselves and chipped away at central authority, culminating in the Malinke king Sunjata establishing the Mali Empire in 1235. This is so big of a deal that the subsequent Epic of Sunjata is possibly the most renowned piece of African literature ever, having been transmitted orally by griot storytellers for centuries before formal codifications in the 1900s. This is, frankly, entirely too cool to relegate to a tangent, yet way too important to just skip over. So, witness
What's
the
going on?
historian's plight. Too much cool, not enough videos. Yet.
So what you're telling me is Blue has definitely added this to the list of things that they're working on. I will be here when it comes.
Ultimately, the Mali Empire grew beyond the bounds of its predecessor to reach from the Niger
Unless I'm
River
dead.
all the way to the western
Unless
coast,
I'm
and the
dead,
empire's
yes.
rise in the region corresponded with the growing prominence of Islam. As mentioned earlier, Muslim merchants crossed the Sahara starting in the 600s and 700s, but it took a while before Islam made its big splash. Ghana allowed Islam, but sources differ on quite how much and how enthusiastically. By the Mali Empire, however, the second Mansa, or king, converted to Islam and went on a pilgrimage to Mecca in the 1260s or 70s. That's a long stretch between first contact and conversion, and the slower process meant that traditional African religions had time to partially syncretize with Islam for a distinctly West African blend. To the shock of travelers like Ibn Battuta, who had no idea what to make of Malian Islamic dietary practice and standards of dress retaining so much local flavor. Granted, he was very impressed with the Malians' commitment to a more orderly and just society than he'd seen anywhere else, so credit there. Bottom line is that by the 1300s, West African Islam was plenty devout, but still plenty distinct. Then finally, all these plot threads with the empires, the religion, and the city come together in 1325, as Timbuktu's place in the world transformed entirely when Musa, the ruling Mansa of the Mali Empire and possible richest man in world history, returned from his Hajj. And
Oh my god, it's Mansa Musa. Oh shit, there is a name I know here. Fuck yeah.
taking the holy pilgrimage, he brought with him tens of thousands of pounds of gold that he happily distributed as he went, casually giving some towns a formative experience with hyperinflation and searing West Africa's new reputation for splendor into the popular conscience. Mansa Musa brought back scholars, artisans, and architects from across the Muslim world, and on his return home, he peacefully annexed Timbuktu into the Mali Empire and filled it with all of his new smart boys. Since its founding, Timbuktu had grown wealthy from trade, but this moment transformed it into the scholarly capital of West Africa, with what would become the largest library in Africa since Alexandria. A local proverb
fucking
says that
cool as
salt
hell.
comes from the north, gold from the south, and silver from the country of the white men, but the word of God and the treasures of wisdom are only to be found in Timbuktu. So how did this transformation come about? First, of course, was the influx of smarty pantses, but second was new city infrastructure to facilitate the great and smartening. Upon Musa's annexation, the city's Sankore Mosque was expanded to a madrasa, a university-esque institution for Islamic study. Like elsewhere in the Muslim world, this included theology, mathematics, literature and poetry, medicine, law, and philosophy. The Jingareber Mosque and madrasa sprang up 2 years later in 1327 as another major hub for scholarship in the city. Beyond these main pillars, learning happened all across town, in over 150 primary schools and in the home libraries of private teachers. By the 1400s,
Really
Timbuktu
fucking
had a
cool how this
population of
all worked out.
100,000, with up to a quarter of that being students from near and far. That century
Now,
also
we're
welcomed
still
the
in the
third
part where we're
madrasa, as
doing
Sidi
Mali, and
Yahya
there's
was
another
completed in
green area that
1440.
takes
All
over
three
this
were
place, so
originally designed in
when did it go bad?
Neo-African style, being made of limestone or earthen bricks covered in layers of wet soil called banco, which brings a very naturalistic appearance, as if the structure is a seamless extension of the ground beneath it. This serves a theological point, as it draws a connection to living and dead ancestors that's characteristic of West Africa's distinct Islamic practice, but it also creates that stylistic cohesion I'm just powerless against. Granted, over time the material erodes, so it needs yearly reapplications of banco after the rainy seasons, which is why the minarets are dotted with wooden beams called torons. It's a form of scaffolding that lets people climb all
Wait,
around it when replastering.
so that's
This
what the
also gives
usage of those
VTubers
were?
volunteers an active and continuous role in the preservation of their heritage, which is way cool. The rigid mosque gains a garden-like quality that's thematically beautiful to contemplate.
That's
Compared to
really
elsewhere,
fucking
these
cool.
mosques are very humble, but the raw meaning layered into their construction and the scholarly purpose they so excellently served make them something truly emblematic of West Africa's history. But there was one final gem in Timbuktu's crown, and that is its books. The combined wisdom of the city took physical shape in over 700,000 manuscripts, most written fully in Arabic, but many are in Ajami, several local West African languages transliterated with Arabic script. Over in Baghdad, the game was get everything into Arabic as the imperial standard, but here the far more locally rooted style of Islam celebrated and elevated the native languages. By the 1500s, Timbuktu was sub-Saharan Africa's house of wisdom, having passed from Mali's sovereignty into the Songhai Empire, yet rising to even greater splendor and prestige. In an
Wait,
account by
they
the
didn't destroy
Andalusian
everything.
traveler Leo Africanus, the city abounded with scholars, doctors, and judges.
Sorry, I'm so used to having like any good thing get fucking destroyed in history that I'm just like, wait, it survived 3 nations crossing over? How?
And the city's most prized and lucrative export was books. Now that's a culture victory in real life if I've ever seen one. Despite never serving as an imperial capital, Timbuktu had a Babylon quality of civilizational importance transcending mere states. It was a big-ass deal. However, the world around Timbuktu was changing rapidly in the 1500s as Portuguese sailors bypassed the camel caravans by sailing around the coast and severed the city's economic power. Then, in 1591, a Moroccan army sacked the city, punished
What
scholars,
the
and
fuck?
confiscated books. From the 1600s onwards, it was just a
Yeah, here it
city
is.
on a river at the edge of the desert. But the people
Yep.
of Timbuktu were one thing above all else: clever. And in the face of outsiders who would destroy or plunder their books, cough cough French colonization in 1893, they hid
Of course they
them down
are.
the generations in cellars, underground,
Yes.
in the desert, in caves, anywhere. And there's currently an international effort to find and catalog these hidden treasures of paper and ink. There's so much about the history of Timbuktu that I find so fascinatingly plural. It's part of such wide-ranging histories, yet so vibrantly particular to its local context. It's at the geographic edge of impossibility, yet characterized by the presence of so many people from the region and beyond. It's comprised of and representative of so many things, people, and ideas.
Also, of course,
and
the
it
Europeans had to be the
remains
ones
so
that fucking appear and
unwaveringly,
destroy things.
inimitably itself. Timbuktu is as varied as it is vibrant. Boom! Full circle, let's go. Thank you so much for watching. This video was a joy and a surprise.
Why are you apologizing, Afro?
Unlike anything I've done in a
Were you
good
there?
while. Like,
Did you
I've
sack
got a new top 10 city
Timbuktu?
in world history right here. If you have a friend who may enjoy this, please consider sharing it with them and spreading the history. Thanks.
Please, everyone, go into the description of this video to go support the original motherfuckers who worked on this because, yeah, like, genuinely, they do amazing stuff. They good. Also, by the way, I'm now gonna start plugging myself because bullshit, you know? I'm a YouTuber now. I say now, like I wasn't before. Like this video if you enjoyed what I had to say. Comment because you think that I said something that was intriguing, or because you have something to say yourself. No, but I'm saying sorry for what Afro. You shouldn't feel bad for what other people have done in the past. There's no way in hell you could have changed that. Anyways, also subscribe because you think that, well, I'm somebody you want to come back around and support, and somebody you think is worthy of your subscription. I have a membership if you want to see videos a little bit earlier than when they drop and release normally. And I have the link at the very bottom of the description because that motherfucking link has all my socials in it, including my Fiverr if you want to commission me for 3D models. Afro, you can say a lot of things for jokes, but there's no way in hell I can tell if you're joking or not. You're typing. I can't hear you. Anyways, have a lovely day.